But we have a test for a determination of whether or not the First Amendment is actually violated. So in certain situations, the government can actually require that speech be suppressed if there's a compelling interest, right?
It can, Your Honor, and I guess what I would say is that the courts below never got to strict scrutiny because the government never raised this. This has never been litigated. The question in this case is whether at the front end, the government itself has undertaken action.
Is the coercion, is the state action, right? That's the question in this case.
Persuade a private party to do something that the private party is lawfully entitled to do, and we think that's what the government is doing when it's saying to these platforms, your platforms and your algorithms and the way that you're presenting information is causing harm, and we think you should stop, and the platforms are
So you really don't see any difference between the government coordinating with the platforms to exclude other speech and persuading the platforms to do this, to not engage or permit other speech?
I guess I'm not seeing it, and I think that what happened here was definitely on the, if you do think there's a difference between those two things, I guess my argument here would be that what happened is on the persuasion side of the line, because you do see that back and forth of the platforms throughout the process saying no repeatedly when they disagree with what the government is asking them to do. And I think that that tells you that what was happening here is what the First Amendment protects, which is private speakers making independent judgment, informed by, maybe even influenced by the government.
Whatever you say. I mean, that was all? That we didn't know enough, but that was coercion?
Your Honor, I thought I understood the government this morning to say that might be a First Amendment issue. And I think what I would say is if there's a national security interest, maybe the government can satisfy strict scrutiny in that circumstance. What I would also say is we probably wouldn't have a lawsuit based on that, because I don't know how that we would get prospective injunctive relief based on a fleeting, offhand, reach out from the White House.
I guess what I'm just trying to suggest is that there's all kinds of things.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I was crawling all over you. Get off me, baby. Let's have another look at